in, everybody. Think about that. Step right up. Get you a cold one. That's it. That's it. That's all. The last effing week where we have to make stuff up.
Hey, what do you mean make stuff up? What kind of allegation is this? Speculation is not making stuff up.
No, of course, it's the root of talk radio, all talk radio. It's speculative. It is conjecture. It is opinion. It is those things. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but it gets old because I really like tangible results, things that I can look at, see, discuss, analyze, come back, utilize as context on this show to better inform, discuss, interact with my listeners and you. It's a lot of fun when we are able to do that. Hey, listen, the great sports debates all have to do oftentimes with hypotheticals and what ifs and all that. That's all great. That's fine. And all jokes aside, that is a big part of being a sports fan or loving music and getting arguments about genres or whatever. Okay, that's fine. But at some point, I want to go to the concert. I want to be at the practice. I want to talk to the coach. These are the things, right? And you're going to get that opportunity after this week is over. It starts. Practice begins. And every day, when you think about Florida State and the position Florida State's in and all the stuff building up to this moment that I'm talking about, all the things leading to the ACC kickoff this week and all the stuff that we've been speculative about, we've all kind of agreed, certainly, I think this is something that is in the fan base universally agreed upon, this is a big season, and I'm ready for it to begin so that we can watch how the dominoes fall here and really get a better sense of, at least on the field and within the coaching staff, what we have here and where we're headed. And that's exciting because you're not going to get an answer to the other anytime soon. I don't think that Florida State's going to know and the ACC is going to know in a matter of a week or two or a month what that future holds. Like in terms of the television and the conference realignment stuff, I don't think we're going to know that. We all have thoughts on where we think that's headed. There seem to be some obvious signs where that's headed, at least in the long term. But in the short term, I don't think we really know a proper timeline. Everybody is just speculative, and that's fine. But now we get into football talk. Now I know that there are position battles that really matter and items of importance that will affect directly the outcome of games this season that we're going to be able to talk about here starting basically, I think, and this I don't know officially, but I'm guessing that the start of practice is 1 week from today. It stands to reason that it would be. This week you have the ACC kickoff. I know coaches are basically having to come in and be set by this upcoming Friday. What are you waiting on? You got an early game. It's time. Let's get it on. Let's start practicing. Let's get everybody ready to roll. And I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. Now, again, if it's not Monday, it's Tuesday. Whatever. It's
so it's not this weekend though. Okay.
No, I don't think they're starting on the weekend. I think they're getting ready to go Monday or Tuesday, most likely Monday.
So you know what that makes this weekend then? The year's final, Glory's last shot. The year's final weekend.
Yeah. So I get excited about that. Really, legitimately excited. No nonsense. I'm really excited about where this goes because now you get the opportunity to watch aforementioned battles on the offensive line, at the other corner spot. I think that again, the continued competition for reps, even amongst those that are firmly established, is excellent. For example, at linebacker. How does that shake out? I mean, we know Tatum Bethune is likely going to be the starter that makes all the difference within this linebacking core. Everybody slots down a little bit. That's great. But listen, again, in the spring, I really thought you saw some guys step up their play, fighting for more reps, fighting for time. This is the nature of competition. It's what we celebrate. We love this when it happens. So here we go. It's exciting. Who knows? How quickly does Winston Wright get back? Because, again, if that happens, that he gets back a lot sooner than I anticipated or that any of us anticipated based on the severity of that accident, well, that changes the dynamic of what I think has been largely your weakest unit on the field. That receiving core has been an embarrassment to receiving cores across this lowly conference, let alone the nation. So that doesn't have to be the case anymore if he's back with all the productivity we've seen from him in his career at West Virginia. Who knows?
Yeah, and that's where you get to the targets, too, the battle for the targets. Micah Pittman is locked in as one of your top 2 receivers. If let's just say that Wright comes back, he's fully healthy, Pittman's not getting bumped down to 3 or 4. We don't foresee that.
No.
But the question is, let's just say that you do have a lineup in a given game. It could be week 2, it could be in October, and Winston Wright is part of that lineup. Who's getting the 3rd most looks? Is it a receiver? Is it a running back? Is it Cam McDonald? How is the distribution?
Rephrase that. Restate that.
Okay, so let's say it's a game. Wright's fully healthy.
Yeah,
okay.
Wright's fully healthy. That's okay.
Who gets the 3rd most looks, the most targets? Is it going to be a receiver? Okay, or Cam or a running back? I just wonder where the distribution of all of this. Where's it going to go?
I just don't think you have a reliable tight end. I think you have a tight end that's mediocre at best, and everybody else behind him is garbage, or has been, or hasn't been able to prove themselves. I hate it. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't phrase a person as garbage. It's just been an unproductive group. There hasn't been anybody that has shown themselves to be emerging anytime soon at that position. Now maybe you get some of these young guys take a huge step forward. I'll knock on wood and hope like hell that happens. But until I see it, I can't.
So Pokey is where you go.
Okay. Probably. I mean, don't you think? I mean, if he's now a 3.
Yeah, that's a good 3. I just, the candidates, one of them, you roll your eyes at Johnny Wilson, but Malik McClain's still in that conversation. He's not bad.
Yeah, but he didn't have a good spring.
I thought he was whatever.
Yeah, that's right. You can't come off your freshman season where at the end of the year you look like you did, and then you do nothing in the spring to show me that you've improved at all. I didn't see any evidence.
Yeah, but argue it the other way like you would for Pokey. Let's say he's a 3. With that size, that's a bit of a separator with 2 diminutive receivers and Pittman. And
maybe. I mean, look, McClain's never going to run away from anybody. So he's going to have to win the 50-50 balls, all the contested balls. They don't have enough guys that can run away from anybody. I don't know if they have anybody that can run away from anybody. So that's the
Shakai can, but he's a gadget player.
He's a gadget player, is right. So I'm talking about a prototypical wide receiver that can go, and they don't really have that. Now, that's why it gets frustrating, because it makes the scoring drives laborious. Unless you get a big play, you're going to have to go 10 to 15 plays. And a lot can go wrong on a 10 to 15 play drive. You got guys that drop the ball, put you behind the chains, holding calls, whatever it might be. They've had to work too hard for their points. Florida State's had to work too hard for their points for the last several years, because they have not had a level of dynamic play from receivers and even running backs. They really haven't had that. They've had some big plays from running backs, it's true, but they haven't had a guy that there's nobody's mistaken that group for Dalvin Cook. So there hasn't been a guy that you're like, flips the scoreboard just like that. And I don't know that they have it this year. Trey Benson, I suppose, could be that guy. I was wowed by him in spring. I thought he looked great. So you might have something there, and that could open some other things up. But it's just, they're in a better position. We come at this conversation, and it's easy to do. I can come at this conversation with a lot of doubt and uncertainty and nerves about the importance of the season and the lack of weapons to take advantage of a situation that you simply have to take advantage of, meaning you have to have a great year to create some momentum in recruiting, establish some security with the coaching staff, etc. Or I can come at it and say, you know what? They're one of the more underrated teams based on a succession of seasons that have been sub 500, leaving most college football analysts and fans with little to go on in the way of projecting positivity. So if you're just a casual fan, you think to yourself, well, Florida State hasn't done anything in 5 years. Why should I suspect they're going to do anything this year? Got it. I mean, I got it. And if you're an analyst who doesn't specifically cover Florida State, you just cover the conference as a whole, or you cover college football as a whole, you're likely to kind of just be dismissive of Florida State. Now, that's, again, me coming at it from a more positive angle locally and saying those people can do that, but we know they're better at almost every position. So maybe they're the surprise of the ACC this year. Again, I can do both. That tells you how tenuous it is, how important health is, how important winning some of the 50-50 games, making that kick in the fourth quarter, not allowing the game to be lost because you can't catch a punt. These kinds of things, it's all of those things that are going to add up to them having a shot at 8-9 wins. And that would be, again, a huge leap forward, given that they haven't finished above 500 in some time.
And it's all about the health of the quarterback, too. That's the biggest piece of the puzzle. Over under 10.5 games that Jordan Travis plays start to finish. Because if it's the over, You like your chances to hit that number.
Mhm.
I also like their chances to be balanced on offense this year in a way that they haven't been. I mean, what was our leading receiver last year? Was Pokey? A few hundred yards? I mean, it's just embarrassing.
It ain't much.
Right. And so I think that, you've got a great chance at having a receiver or two eclipse 500 yards this year. That sounds crazy, but think about it. The offensive line's better, protects Jordan Travis better, and you've got a chance to open up different facets of the offense no matter how a defense plays it. I like this receiving core to block on the perimeter better, so the bubble game should be stronger. You've got guys who can make one-on-one matchups work for you. So if you want to play the run first, we can use the pass to open the run back up. Or if you want to put 8 in the box and say, go ahead and beat us, Jordan Travis, you feel better about winning those one-on-ones. So either way, if you want to try and stop the run first or the pass first, I think we've got a way out of it. That was not the case last year.
I also think that we should make a bigger deal out of how much more efficient are they going to be in the red zone. Last year's red zone offense was an embarrassment, largely because you couldn't block anybody. So short yardage situations were problematic. Obviously, when the field gets shorter, the physical toughness becomes a big deal. And they didn't have the hosses up front to get that yard to convert in that situation. They also did not have a guy in the red zone that you thought you could throw it up to that could make a play.
Yeah, they made magic happen in it, though. If you look at the efficiency metrics in the red zone, they were excellent.
So
but
but
what you're talking about is the whole world knows on 3rd and goal from the 1.5 yard line what
I'm
you're
also
do.
talking about not kicking field goals.
Right.
Because that gets baked into those efficiency numbers. Do you score?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, touchdowns. We're talking about touchdowns. And again, having to settle a lot because you don't have the ability to bully somebody inside the 5, inside the 7, right? Like to line up and say, from here, I'm going to run the ball 3 times. And we're going to get those 7 yards. Now, listen, that's hard, but we haven't had that ability in a long time. You either you'd love to think you have a jumbo package this year with all the extra offensive linemen and the people that we haven't had in the past that you could utilize in that situation.
Yeah.
You just got to be tougher between the tackles. They haven't been tough in that way when everybody knows you got to do it and the field is shortened. Now, Johnny Wilson can play a huge role in that. You're right. You guys are right about that. As for much as I'm like, we'll see about Johnny Wilson. He's a good blocker, no doubt. That unequivocally, I can state that.
Mm-hmm.
And if he'll catch the damn ball, that is a physical mismatch in the red zone.
It thins out the defense near the line of scrimmage a little bit. If he could prove it early in the season that even, it's replacement level for that size. If he's replacement level for the size he is, then a safety has to linger another step or two to cut off the angle for an easy one-on-one throw before the snap. And what does that do? It affords you other matchups in the backside. Or if you run that way, again, he's useful multiple ways in the red zone because he can block for you.
Well,
so if you want to
to
sweep in his direction, then, you feel good about winning that matchup.
Yeah, man, I mean, he won't be a bust because he can block. So to some regard, he is going to be an upgrade to that segment group, but I would like him to be multifaceted. I don't want to think that we brought him in at that size with that mismatch potential solely to be a great blocker. I need him to catch the ball too, but he will block. So I know that there are elements of that group that are going to be better because they have a lot of guys out there that would do that consistently.
And so will McClain. So, I mean, if Wright's healthy, you could have Wilson Pittman on one side and McClain and Wright on the other. I mean, again, that's a very basic way of talking about football and schematics, but that is now 2 halves of the field that you could throw to and expect to win a bubble on. We didn't have one half of the field that you would expect to win a bubble on for years. And that's a big part of this offense, especially if you need to get the ball out quicker against those better defensive lines you're going to face.
Yeah, and I would like it to be less of a feature in this offense. Like they don't have to go to that because it's all they have. They had to fall back on that a lot. And I thought at times Dilly got a little silly with that at times. I'm like, okay, man, that's 6 in a row.
Well, they are triple options a lot in those cases.
I know.
Zone read with a bubble.
But I just, after a while, like,
this is all we got.
That's all we got today. And sometimes it really was. Sometimes that was his way of saying, yeah, we can't block this up, guys. We cannot block this up. So this is the best shot we have.
And we do this enough, we're setting up a home run
right
on the ground, which they did.
Which they absolutely did. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Just getting started. A lot to get to today. Mostly FSU football and ACC kickoff week, college football in general. A little touch back on the Open that just occurred. And, of course, the All-Star week is always the week where we kind of, all right, let's exhale, get it right. Your boy will win the home run derby again tonight, right?
Let's hope so. That's fun.
I guess. I'll watch it.
He takes it seriously. I appreciate him for that.
He takes it seriously. He does. And he cares deeply. He's like Harbaugh in the preseason. He cares very much to win the home run derby. Jeff Cameron Show. Be right back.
Over 50 years ago, when Paul Nicholson founded Paul's Termite and Pest Control, he had one goal in mind: provide the best service possible to his neighbors so they felt like family. Your problem was his problem. So today, it's our problem. Paul's service area is our home. It's where our kids go to school, where we shop, and where we get involved with community organizations. So if some out-of-town company knocks on your door and begins pressuring you to sign an agreement for termite or pest control, you can bet on a few things. Number one, you'll never see that person again. Number two, your technician is likely to change often. And number three, your money will not stay in North Florida. These companies are sending your money to home offices in Atlanta, Orlando, Salt Lake City, or even Great Britain. Paul's Termite and Pest Control knows local means something to you. The health of your Tallahassee home, family, and pets is our number one priority. For the elimination of termites and pests and a greener lawn too, call your local company with local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
Hi, my name is Shannon Pash, and I'm the principal at Red Hills Academy. We will provide a challenging, rigorous curriculum. We will also work with our students to teach them how to set goals and then how to work to reach those goals. Red Hills Academy will offer the Spanish language every day. Relationships are really important to us, not just with our students, but with our families and the community. This benefits parents and students alike because parents get that involvement within the school. Easily apply online today at redhillsacademy.com.
Hi, I'm Alex Stimley, candidate for Leon County School Board, District 4. As a lifelong resident, I've attended our schools, I've worked in our schools, and my kids go to our schools. For me, this election is not about power, it's not about title, and it's not about politics. This is about our kids and the positive impact our schools can have on our community. Our schools are vulnerable, our parents are voiceless, and our educators are defenseless. Your kids, grandkids, your neighbor's kid, and my 2 kids. That's my why. I'm Alex Stimley, and I have paid for and approved this message. And I hope to have your vote for Leon County School Board, District 4.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn at Finn Chiropractic. Wanted to let you guys know chiropractic doesn't just get rid of back pain, neck pain, and headaches. It could help with sleep. It could help with digestion. Maybe you have pain down your arm. But chiropractic is one of the safest, most natural, most effective ways to get to the root cause of your problem. So if you or a loved one are having a problem, even if you think we might not be able to help, make a new patient appointment today at FinnChiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. Because your chiropractor loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
and you lose Jermaine Johnson. Gonna have to go under there, big shooter.
One would expect, unless you're able to dial it up and you've got somebody that can win routinely on 3rd and forever, and you know that person's just they're gonna win their battles. Amari Gaynor, somebody like that, but I don't know that that's reliable.
Going to go under on the 33 in 2020.
Yeah,
I don't see that guy on the roster.
Also, you're facing a lot of good quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks.
Get the ball out of their
So,
hand.
yep.
They've got there's also a bunch of veteran offensive line. So
there's a chance for us to be somewhere between 7 and 9 early through 2 games in the season, because Duquesne, you're going to rack up 5 by accident, right?
You'd like to think.
And then LSU has questions on the offensive line. I've only been doing basic research on them, but they've got a couple freshmen, so you might be able to win a couple of battles, scheme something up, especially since they're trying to learn and implement a new offense. Could find your way into 2 or 3 sacks in that game.
Well, and it's funny you bring that game up. I was looking at it over the weekend, sitting there with the laptop watching the Open, just doing research for the upcoming season, various assignments and things that I think about. And that really is a mystery, that game, because if you just look at personnel with what they've brought in, and you look at some of the kids that stayed, there are areas that concern you greatly about LSU. And there are areas of real weakness, as you're pointing out. And also, when it's a transitional year, a lot of times, Brian Kelly, who I think is a good coach, not necessarily a likable guy, but a good coach, his team struggled with teams that they had better talent than early in the season. And they did it last year against us, for example. That Notre Dame team was talent for talent, much better than Florida State. And here we were going to overtime. So do you factor that in, along with the fact that Florida State gets a warm-up? So you can iron out a couple of bugs.
Continuity.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
If it was played in Orlando and not New Orleans, you'd be, I think, thumping your chest a little bit more about this game. But it's the New Orleans factor, even though we've got 30,000 plus going, that makes it dicey.
It's funny, too. We're a ways away from thumping our chest for any game. I'll just say that. I think we're a ways away from thumping our chest about. I'll thump my chest about Duquesne. Come get you some. Come get you some of this, Duquesne. But other than that, I'm not thumping my chest about a single game on this schedule.
That's way less fun. Not for the players. You don't want to thump your chest when there's a 20-yard completion over your head. We've seen too much of that.
Ooh.
Hell, 65 yards. But, for us, analysts, this is going to be a better team. It is.
Yeah, well, they'll be a better team. The key is oddly the thing that I hate, which is that people don't look beyond simply a record. At some point, you do have to just look at the record, and they may be better, and the record may not be better. I mean, it should certainly be better than 5-7, but it may not be where it needs to be. We'll see. I like this team better too. I think that they are equipped to win more of the 50-50 games. And that's actually why, in addition to all the other reasons that we've laid bare, it's such a big year. Because if you think they're better equipped to compete in these 50-50 games, and I think universally that is agreed upon, better depth in a lot of areas helps you win games like that, helps you have a chance week over week over week to be in a position to win games like that, because guys get dinged up. It's football. People get hurt. You have to be able to survive that, move on, and have a chance to win. When you're thin, the way Florida State's been in the last number of years, anybody lost up front almost guaranteed a loss. It just guaranteed it. You're like, well, that's it. And you got to put Slappy in there at right guard, and this is going to be a problem. So, and
entering the game for Florida State.
Yeah.
Slappy.
And all the stands. Jesus, we had to put Slappy in again.
Is that his first name or last name? There's only one name.
Yeah.
Just Slappy.
If Slappy's playing, we're in trouble.
It's like share.
But the problem is, so I think that's all well and good. But getting back to why the spotlight is bright, what do we say about good coaches? I mean, that's the thing, right? You win those games. You win the 50-50 games. If there's equal talent, do you win the game?
Well, and was there a talent deficit? And how many of their last 8 games would you say there was a talent deficit for Florida
Certainly
State?
Clemson and Florida.
Yeah. Probably more than that, though. Probably of the 8, maybe 5 or 6. You're in a talent deficit. You go 5-3 in that stretch, and you were in position to win or lose. You could look at it either way, but you're in the fight in all of those games, even the ones you lost. So, now you've got more talent. LSU is in transition. This is a game, I'm not going to say you should win, but all of the factors outside of location are in a good place.
Well, remember, again, when you've lost as much as Florida State has lost, you can think that you're better. You can believe it at practice on a daily basis, but at some point you got to get out there and play a game, and there's going to be a moment of truth in that game. And until you get over the hump and you win in that moment, it's all false bravado. It's all uncertain. It's all hypothetical. It's all in theory. You got to know. And the way you got to know is to do it, to achieve it, to succeed. Then you know. And with every one of those moments that you win, you're infused with a greater level of belief and confidence. And that you can carry that into games. I mean, anybody who's ever been a part of an organized team, right? I don't care what level, the lowest level to the highest level, right? If you're listening to this, you've been on bad teams, you've been on good teams, probably everything in between, right? But those ones that were in the middle that had the chance to be good or have it go south, somewhere along the way, there was the moment where I think we can do this becomes, we're going to do this. And then you took the field with a belief that the ass kicking you were about to deliver was real. And it was because you achieved something prior to it that gave you vindication.
Yeah, that's, we talk about, and it's a term that was floated a lot last year, proof of concept. It was just one of the buzz terms, and we're still looking for it. But we talked about it in regards to the boosters, NIL collectives now, fan base, other coaches who might want to come here and upgrade the staff, recruits. But the proof of concept that's most important is for the players themselves right here on this roster. You got to prove it to yourself that you can do it. Because if you do in New Orleans, that flight is a lot more confident up to Louisville for the Friday game after the bye week. They're going to go there expecting to win if they beat LSU in New Orleans.
I'll tell you what, it's so funny. It's so easy as we approach the start of practice, as we get into ACC kickoff week. It is so easy to get excited about scenarios and games. But, man, you just touched on LSU. I keep coming back to it. I just keep coming back to it all the time. As long as you don't get blown out by LSU, then that Louisville game becomes everything. It's just, if you win it, it's still uber important.
Oh, it's still critical.
It's kind of the fulcrum game, right?
Yeah,
That's the game that you're looking at. Like, man, I don't lose that one. Like
trampoline game.
Yeah, that's the one that can. Yes, absolutely. And in both ways, because if you win the LSU game and turn around and lose the Louisville game, your season's not ruined. Obviously, at that point, you'd be 2-1 because you'd have the Duquesne win, and then the other games become huge. But it would put a little cold water on your early success. It would dampen the enthusiasm right off the bat of having won the LSU game in New Orleans. If you lose the LSU game and then you turn around and you play Louisville and you lose that game, well, now your season's up in smoke just like that. You're 1-2. You're once again where you've been each of the last handful of years. So it's just the nerves we're going to feel on a Friday night at Louisville.
They're going to feel the same thing. They've got a lot of recruiting momentum right now. Whatever their NIL presentation is,
it's a good one.
It's a good one. And for them, if they want to retain these recruits, as we talk about, a lot of people are going to have money for you if you're a blue chipper. Then you can decide, and the middle ground is success of the program, continuity of the program. If they lose to us hosting the game on a Friday night with a coach whose footing is not quite secure.
Oh, it's not secure.
That market is in flames. And then you've passed them, and then watch some of those kids get cut loose, and maybe you can pounce on a recruit or two.
Whew.
It's a big game for both programs.
Yeah, you get excited about things like this, man. We love the game. We love the intensity that surrounds moments like that, big games like that. And it always varies. When you're riding high, you're protecting something. When you're riding really high and you're one of the best teams in the country, the intensity you feel involves not wanting to relinquish your dominance, like Georgia will go into this season very differently, obviously, than Florida State. But that excitement and intensity and sort of circle that one type moment for the fan base, it's real no matter what. Ours has just been from down here. It'd be nice to have it, at the end of this season. At the end of this season, to be like, okay, huge step forward. Now let's not fall back. Let's keep pushing.
Well, from a very basic point of view, just think about it. 2 of your first 3 games, you're the only game going on in the country. There's an opportunity for sending a message to everybody, all those principal parties involved, that you are the only game. That is a huge, huge opportunity to flip this thing momentum-wise for recruiting.
Yeah, I get nervous talking about it. Because it's nearly here.
It's Go time.
If you're thinking about buying a home and you think about this current climate, you get a little nervous. And everybody's heard about high demand and inventory being low. But if you want to get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers in the same house as you, that's a toughie. Got to find a way to do that. The first place to suggest is you call my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with complete pre-approval underwriting. Used to be an upgrade back in the day. Nowadays, got to be standard. And if you want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. Let's go. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is a very real one and that you're ready to go. It's tough out there, folks. Why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Your local news now.
A correctional officer in Georgia, 31-year-old Lan Lewis, has been charged for having a sexual relationship with an inmate. Lewis was arrested Wednesday and charged with sexual assault by a correctional facility employee in violation of oath by a public officer. The sheriff's office said that authorities received a letter from an inmate at the Douglas County Jail alleging that Lewis was sexually involved with another inmate. Investigators were able to corroborate the inmate's allegations. Lewis's first court appearance was Thursday morning, where she was placed under a $30,000 bond. An overnight search for missing boaters off the Taylor County coast came to an end with tragic news. Of the 3 missing, 2 were found alive. Another boater was not. The trio had launched from Haggins Cove Saturday afternoon and were caught up in afternoon storms. A minor was among the group on the boat, but details about the victim have not been released. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3, the local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update.
Mainly cloudy this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Highs level off around 88. Winds out of the southwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Chance for scattered storms. Lows level off around 75. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Tomorrow, chance for scattered storms. Highs level off around 91.
This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 85.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel, and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on the floors. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
Think? There was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
This week, and a change of schedule for us. First of all, obviously we're here right now Tomorrow, Seminole Headlines will run. Now, two things there. It's a recorded version of Seminole Headlines that we already did. We did it over the weekend. I wanted to get that out there and make that abundantly clear for everybody that when you tune in tomorrow to hear Seminole Headlines, that was previously recorded. But it is new content, and it is me and Corey and Ira, and it's a quality show. It's a fun discussion about Florida State football and about the ACC and about aspects of the team. So kind of your standard fare there. Wednesday, I'm actually going to be back with you right here. The way it was set up in Charlotte left some question as to whether or not we'd be able to do a live broadcast for the Jeff Cameron show. And I did not want a chance not being able to give you live content on the week of the ACC kickoff. So Tom is going. They need him there for a variety of reasons, technical and otherwise. But it works out well for us because he can pipe in and we can talk about what's happening on the ground there. I can be here in studio and do these things, and we can have these discussions, and we're able to give you content. So that's what's going on Wednesday. And then Thursday, you come back and we'll figure something out. But anyhow, and then we're live Friday, of course. So anyhow, we have a lot going on, but we kind of mixed it up a little bit. I wasn't heartbroken to miss out on this year's ACC kickoff. It's the right thing to do, but when I found out that's what needed to be done, I didn't lose sleep over not making the haul up to Charlotte. I like Charlotte. I always like seeing everybody up there. It's a good time. That's a long drive just to enjoy yourself at that wonderful Irish pub that I'm going to miss out on. But we'll
see if I have time for that.
Yeah, who knows?
It's going to be a full day on Wednesday.
Yeah. So it's a kind of a whirlwind, if you will, these days. I am curious now that you know technically what we're doing and what we decided to do over the weekend. So there's this thought, right? We've graduated from the, beaten to death storyline of how soon which teams are leaving this league. How do you get out from under the grant of rights? Would the Big Ten be interested in this team but not this team? How soon would they be willing to make a move? Does Florida State, Clemson, Miami, and whomever you want to name, North Carolina, what is the next plan for them? How many teams out of the ACC would have to rise up and desire to get out so that they could get, the whole grant of rights thing dissolved? Well, the answer is 8. Can you find 8 teams that would be willing to do that? Do they have a home? These are the talking points, the storylines that have been discussed a lot by all of us with a vested interest. I would assume if you're here, you have an interest in that, whether you love Florida State or not. The expansion of the SEC or the Big Ten and what ESPN decides to do, what Fox decide to do, are all very important to you because they affect college football and the greater landscape of college football. But what is a more interesting topic to me now is that, okay, let's presume for a moment that 2036 is a long ways away, and who knows? I don't think it's likely that we see the end of that deal. I don't. But that said, there is this growing thought that if the ACC, and again, I don't care about the ACC, only that we're in it. And I don't mean that I want to stay in it, just that we're in it, and what happens to it could directly affect Florida State. So therefore, I'm paying attention and trying to read the tea leaves. A potential big problem, and it's really a problem for ESPN, because they're the ones behind the scenes that are going to manipulate this, since the ACC is one of their assets. And they're competing against Fox, right, who will have the Big Ten and that deal. And then ESPN has the SEC, but they also have the ACC. And it's an asset that I don't think they want to see just dissolve. They've got to find a way to continue to make money off of it. Well, if the ACC is not careful, the Big 12 and the Pac-12 marry very quickly and decide, well, here's what we're going to do. Why not? And then whatever team doesn't get the invite, whether that's Washington and Oregon or whomever, right? And they decide to develop a third super conference or something akin to it, while not on the same level of the SEC and the Big Ten, still viable. They're picking off teams and leaving, obviously, the ACC with slim pickings. Then you become 4th place. And if you're 4th place, you're no place, you're dead. So the idea that the Big Ten and the SEC may calm down for a moment, at least for another year, right? Maybe they've done what they needed to do for now, means that either the Big 12, the Pac-12, or the ACC is now going to be the aggressor. And you have to anticipate. You have to start looking ahead. So what I would be very curious to know what Jim Phillips is thinking about. What is their tact? They're not going to sit around and be waiting to be kicked to death. You got to figure something out to make yourself viable with the aid of your business partner, ESPN, one would think.
Deputy Commissioner of the Big Ten. That's what he's gunning for right now.
Well, I mean, so how quickly do you start to hear about that, if at all? How do you keep yourself from being fourth if there are 3 chairs? You know, you
if there are even 3 chairs.
But there's you know what? It's not a surprise to hear Kirk Herbstreit come out and say he believes there will be 3 super conferences. He just told you what ESPN's executive told him.
Right.
So now, okay, so there's going to be 3.
Well,
4 now.
Yeah, the question is too, I mean, think about it in the NFL. CBS and Fox aren't necessarily competitors because they each have their own conference, right? The AFC and the NFC. And sometimes they do horse trading for certain games, and you'll see an all AFC game on Fox and vice versa. But I would think that if those executives got together, it would not be, a bloodthirsty bunch. They'd be like, this is great. Isn't this great how the NFL works for both of us? It's taking us to new heights. You look at the top 25 products on live television broadcast television the whole year. 20 of them are NFL games. Aren't we so lucky? This is amazing. At what point would Fox and ESPN work like that together? At what point?
Yeah.
Is there a round of golf coming in the near future where they say, look, this is going to be our pie that we're dividing up. Let's work together without having any electronic trail of collusion or anything like that to see how we can meet this thing out. You get enough of wins on your side and certain parts of the country. We get enough on our end. And this whole beautiful tier 1 super conference experience is where it needs to be. I don't think that Fox and ESPN are always going to be at odds with one another. At some point, they need to work together to push this thing over the finish line.
Well, there are other entities that have gotten in the game of purchasing live sports, and we don't know how aggressive they're going to be. So how aggressive does, I don't know, Apple become? How aggressive we've already seen them. You get your baseball game of the week. Amazon, we see that all the time. And any of the other streaming services, Netflix, whoever you want to point to, right? Live sports is where it's at. We know this. We've known this for a long time. It's trended in that direction for a very, very long time. I'm not stating anything that people don't already know, but the point is that will also color the landscape of what's going to happen. And so who else throws their hat in the ring, right? And seriously contends for a stranglehold on something that is going to be profitable.
Right, because the future is they want their apps to work. And this is where years ago when we talked about the SEC having a channel and the ACC didn't, we thought maybe they should just go straight to an app service. And it wouldn't have worked no matter what.
Right.
You don't have the brand strength
we were
to
talking
generate
about
the
linear,
money.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're all cutting the cord. I've cut the cord with cable.
Yeah,
I'm now exclusively on apps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's next.
Well, once it became that you could do it and you could generate enough speed in your house to not have lag,
right?
Then that's when we all,
So that's the next thing. It's not necessarily about FS1 and FS2 versus ESPN2. Like that's not a fight anymore.
Right.
I mean, it might be in the very immediate term, but what is that? Another year or two?
Well, but this is also why it went from exclusively fighting over markets to now it's just about what brands improve the overall eyes to.
Right.
You used to say eyes to sets, but you're not saying
yours
that
for $14.99 a month, right? Yeah.
This is our collection of talent.
Right.
What would you pay for it? And oh, by the way, we know we don't have this, but we do have Florida State, Oklahoma State, Washington, Oregon. That kind of a thing.
And that's why it's not about linear television anymore. Like it is. If you're talking about the check that FSU is going to clear next year, sure, it's about linear television.
For now, but we're looking way down.
When all this is coming together, when these things are executed, even 3 or 4 years from now, it's not like a conference. Let's say the Pac-12 and the Big 12 get together. You're not negotiating with linear or streaming service. They're all streaming services at this point.
Yes.
For the purposes of a negotiation that you're having right now about the future of your media rights, a linear network doesn't mean diddly.
But you still have to put together the best collection of potential in terms of selling.
Sure. Yeah.
So that to me again becomes about brands and less about markets, although markets matter. But if you can enhance the brand of the package that you're selling, well, man, my point is the ACC could sit back. Whoever is not proactive, whoever is not aggressive is going to lose in this, as the other 3 Power 5 conferences have to the Big Ten and the SEC. We now know it's about the money. It's about the eyes. So those television contracts, you have to put yourself in the best possible position to succeed as an asset ESPN has to care what happens to the ACC. Would they help facilitate something that enhances that package?
Or would that not be for the greater good for the network?
I don't
if
know.
they spin off the best assets, fortify their strongest brand,
Correct.
which is better for them, bottom line.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. But that's the choice they're going to have to make.
Well, but yes, and that's where we get back into the discussion of, well, what can they legitimately influence? What can they do with the grant of rights being a problem?
Well, because in a way, that percentage of that TV deal, let's just say you spin off Clemson, the best programs for football. If you're paying only that much a year in 2032, that's nothing. That's chump change.
Right.
That's actually a good deal for you.
Well, what you really want is this aggression to continue to build, meaning Fox tells ESPN, screw you, we're going to have the biggest, and we want more assets in different parts of the country, and no longer are we really worried about regionality. We are going to go grab Florida State, Miami, Clemson, and add them to our list of parties here. We're going to do that because long term, 30, 40 years from now, this is going to benefit. Now, short term, it's going to cut the pie even more, and that's not great. But long term, this is going to benefit.
Yeah, I saw somebody in the chat say something akin to Fox will never work with ESPN or vice versa. I'm not so sure about that because at some point it becomes about freezing out the other competitors too. And it's in both of their interests to not allow Apple TV Plus or Prime or whoever to enter into this discussion. If you want to have it on lockdown for the future of college football, big-time college football.
That's why we're saying I don't think the growth stops.
Yeah.
It's a matter of when. It's a matter of figuring out what's even possible given, again, at least as it pertains to the ACC with the grant of rights deal. Like how quickly – because, if ESPN deems that it's financially more viable, even if it's years and years and years down the road, financially more viable for them to spin off those assets to the SEC – well, then I think they would go about the process of desperately trying to expedite that and look into. Right. I mean, there's no doubt there's powerful people looking into that contract.
Well, and the other part is Notre Dame. Everybody's waiting on Notre Dame to see where they go.
Yeah, well, that's really true, and I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. So,
but you wonder, is NBC going to dip back in to look to extend Notre Dame as an independent? Do you have Apple TV Plus or Prime saying, "Oh, you know what?
I think they're fighting for
$5 a month for the year. You can watch Notre Dame football," and how many, they do the projections on how much that would benefit them. I just wonder, the NFL is so cut up across so many networks. NBC has a piece, ESPN, CBS, Fox, but CBS and Fox are your Sunday home, so they've got the big shares. At what point does Fox and ESPN for this particular sport say, we don't want anybody else? This could be all us. All we have to do is put our swords down for 10 minutes, figure this thing out, and work together.
The level of distrust is awfully high. I don't know that I'm trusting the other guy to put down that sword.
I trust
the second I do, I'm going to get stabbed.
But he's already got the sword. I don't want to give another sword. I don't need to fight two people. Just let me work with you so that Apple TV doesn't come in here with a bazooka.
Oh man, it's fun. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Hearth and Patio wants you to know now is the time to start thinking about your fireplaces. Yes, we know that temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 90s for the next couple of months, but now is the time to start thinking about upgrading those fireplaces. Not going to be using them? Get those fireplaces upgraded now. They can repair all makes and models of fireplaces. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
Sellers Tile does it better for business owners, contractors, designers, and homeowners. Better design ideas, better quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring, better mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions. And Sellers makes it easier with their amazing showroom and first-class professionals. Maybe it's time to get Sellers working for you on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com for better style, quality, and design. Go with Sellers in Tallahassee. Call 656-8453.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-737-9944. That's 1-800-737-9944. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-737-9944. That's 1-800-737-9944.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Jeff Cameron Show brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
A side note here, listen to the stat. It's crazy. So obviously we all saw Cam Smith go berserk on the back nine at the Open. And you go back to the start of the season where he shot 34 under par at Kapalua, which was the lowest number to par in a 72-hole tournament in PGA Tour history. It gets overlooked because it's so early in the year, nobody paid attention, but he did do that. Listen to this stat. His pair of 64s this week in the same championship. Over the last 25 years, no player has had 2 rounds that low in the same major championship. Nobody.
And there have been some scoreable courses. That's not only because the wind was down at St. Andrews.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of low-scoring majors over that time.
I mean, damn, that'll hurt your feelings if you're Rory or anybody else. You're like, my man out here dropping 64s, like twice, same week.
He's going to drop a 30 on me on the back nine?
A 64 on a Sunday.
Come on now.
Trey brings it up all the time. It's the cruelest aspect of golf, that you cannot control the other guy, that you could go out and do everything right. And if some putts don't fall and you shoot a 68, whatever, and some ass decides to drop a 62 on you, you're just like.
Which is what you said, too, when we were off the air before the show. Like, basically, Rory shot a 69 yesterday.
Basically every round was in the 60s. Because if he's not trying to chip it in on 18, he's going to birdie that hole.
He's going to birdie the hole. And then it's crazy. It was a 2-horse race for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, with Victor not looking good at all, and he never was.
Fell off a cliff.
And then it was the penultimate group, a 65 and a 64. Like, if I'm Cam Young today, I'm saying I finished in second outright with an eagle on 18 for the ages, if not for this joker shooting a 64.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
Well, Cam Young was good, man. He had too many weird holes Cam Young did in this championship. He did it on Saturday and he did it on Sunday where he was just like out of nowhere. You're like, well, that's a 4-putt. That just happened. He did. He had a 4-putt more than once. Like, good Lord. That's not the recipe, buddy. The old 4-putt, which we've all done. But it hurts your feelings nonetheless, especially when you lose by 1 stroke in a major. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. A new report from hours of body camera footage lay bare a bewildering response as nearly 400 officers rushed to a mass shooting at a Texas elementary school.
3 hours of police body camera video released by the city of Uvalde, Texas, has fueled the anguish surrounding the inaction detailed in a 77-page report. An investigative committee from the Texas House of Representatives finds systemic failures created a chaotic scene that lasted 72 minutes before the gunman inside Robb Elementary School was finally confronted and killed. Footage recorded by Officer Justin Mendoza's body camera captures heartbreak and confusion.
The room is full of victims. Child victims.
Committee report concluded that law enforcement responders failed to adhere to their active shooter training and failed to prioritize saving innocent lives over their own safety. I'm Jennifer King.
Also at townhall.com, President Biden has been dealt another political setback to his domestic agenda. Cluxton with that report.
After returning home from overseas, the president is once again facing the prospect of a scaled-back legislative plan because of opposition from Democratic Senator Joe Manchin. Last week, he rejected any economic measure if it includes climate or energy provisions or increases taxes on the rich or corporations. Manchin said he's worried about inflation, and that's forcing the White House to slim down the president's sweeping proposals. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Quick help for suicidal thoughts and other mental health emergencies will soon be as easy as 988. The United States' first nationwide 3-digit mental health crisis hotline goes live on Saturday. It's designed to be as quick and easy to remember as 911. It will connect callers with trained mental health counselors. This is Town Hall News.
You were lied to when buying a timeshare and worn out, you need my help. Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started the timeshare cancellation industry by exposing the ugly truth about timeshare and giving folks the straight facts. I've been fighting the timeshare giants ever since, so no one knows this industry better than me and my team. Today, we have 383 employees and have saved our clients an average of $65,000 in lifetime payments. Imagine putting those timeshare dollars back in your pocket. If you were told at a timeshare presentation that this was available today and today only, that timeshare was a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, call my office now. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-881-4242. 800-881-4242. 800-881-4242.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shannon Lord with Finn Chiropractic. We are primary care physicians, and you don't need a referral to come see us. Chiropractors not only help you get to the root cause of your problem, but it helps get rid of neck pain, back pain, and headaches. It makes your body whole and healthy on the inside. So if you or a loved one has neck pain, back pain, or headaches, make an appointment today to get to the root cause of your problem. Come see me, Dr. Shannon Lord, at finnchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com, because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boys on the road. I'll be back here ready to lock in with those guys as we get set. Hopefully something big in the way of positivity occurs, at least in our continued ACC discussion. But I do know this, even if it doesn't, even if nothing in the way of clarity emerges from the ACC kickoff to the bigger questions anyhow, even if that doesn't happen, practice is about to happen. That is happening. This season is going to be played. And in the short term, this money deficit, as felt by the teams in the ACC, really doesn't play out in such a way to be devastating for now. I mean, this upcoming season, that is. So let's just again focus on this for now, understanding there's that. but we finally have this thing here as in the way of real games and real practices getting underway.
Texas and OU was announced when we were up there last year, and so I'm just waiting to see, because I think all that talk I had last hour about ESPN and Fox, maybe at some point just figuring out, let's divide the world in half for each other. You know, half for me, half for you. The conferences like to make splashes in high-profile situations and to really drive the knife in there and twist it a little bit. So part of me wonders if there wouldn't be some sort of ACC-esque story, maybe even more rumors that's been planted by another conference that comes out and leaks as the commissioner is speaking.
Planted by a network, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, fine. I hope it's a plant by ESPN that creates a buzz for the ACC and invokes some sort of emotion or change or something along those lines.
Like
Sure.
Thamel, North Carolina, others contacted by SEC. You know, and all that is a speculative article, but that's the headline as Jim Phillips is talking at the dais.
Yeah, the problem with that, though, and it's the same problem for everybody, because there's already been the article that says that Clemson and Florida State and Miami and North Carolina have been contacted. Like, you're going to get some variation of that article. It's going to happen a lot over the next however long period of time is between this time and the time that it actually happens. It doesn't matter, because they're all hindered by the same thing. It's again, the grant of rights stuff that you've got to solve. So it's not, I don't care if they name Georgia Tech, Miami, Pitt, and freaking Virginia, where you'd be like, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're all stuck.
Yeah, the question, I guess, would be, if they didn't extend it under President Thrasher's watch, would we even be having this discussion about the grant of rights? No, everybody would be moved on, whether or not the trigger date was 2029 or 2030 or earlier because they wanted to buy out. I think we would have firm resolution to the ACC problem, as in it would be going away.
I agree with that. That'd be great.
Damn it, man.
Really quick, by the way, I just wanted to mention this because I'm going to forget as we get into football stuff. But I have it here just because I kind of raised an eyebrow at one of these things. It has nothing to do with Florida State football, but it does have to do with Florida State basketball. You know, we always keep an eye on this really quickly. The completion of the NBA Summer League in Las Vegas, which I get it. You probably didn't watch. I didn't watch. Most people didn't watch. But you have a number of Florida State guys there. And that includes, by the way, Butler. But here you go. Fiondu Kabengele, now with the Celtics. Well, did you see that?
No.
14 8 points per game, shot nearly 60% from the field, 40% from three. Had himself in 5 games, had himself a run.
You know, we thought that given where he was drafted, he would stick in the NBA, not get demoted, but maybe he's a late bloomer as a pro.
Well,
Rooting for him.
He's got a shot to stick with the Celtics. They need, obviously, center depth because Robert Williams gets hurt. Bryce loves Robert Williams, loves him. But yeah, Block It Bob, he calls him, but he loves him. Yeah. He does. He walks around saying,
I love his passion for the NBA.
Oh
that is so random, but I love it.
Oh, when that series was going on, when the finals were going on, he'd watch a lot of times. Like, if it got real late, I'd watch in my room. He'd watch in his room if it was late and going to bed. And he'd open the door. Block It Bob came through again. He loves him. Loves him. I think that's his biggest fan. But also,
you should get him to talk to old intern John.
I know I should. Well, you're right.
Yeah.
And then the other reason is Al Horford's 36. I mean, good God, how long is he going? So maybe Fiondu sticks in that rotation somehow. John Butler ended up with the Pelicans and played 4 games, averaged 8.5 points. Actually had a perfect shooting night to cap it off. Raekwon Gray, 7 points a game, shot 36% from the field. And he was with the Nets, if you didn't know. We'll see what works out for him or not. Malik Osborne was with the Cavaliers, averaged 6 points a game. Balsa.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Balsa Steel.
Balsa Steel with the Pistons, averaging just 4 points a game, 11 minutes a game, 4 games. Anthony Polite, 3 points a game, averaged just over 3 minutes per game for the Spurs. Played 1 game, so I so much of an average, one game. And then finally, MJ Walker at 2 points a game, played in 3 games. It's a toughie for MJ. So that's where we're at. That's a look at the summer league with those guys.
Terrence Mann is vested. This is what a world. Out of all those guys you named, Terrence Mann is the vested one.
He is
good for him.
Paid, feeling good, and a vital part of the organization. Like, he's a player. Not a guy like, oh, that's not. No, he's a player. Now that is Bryce's favorite player.
Terrence Mann?
Oh, yeah. Huge Terrence Mann guy. And I tell him all the time, you've picked a good guy to root for. There's a guy that's earned it. There's a guy that's tough. There's a guy that has gotten better seemingly every year he's played basketball. You think about his first year here all the way through what he is now in the league. He's gotten better every year.
That's the thing for this year's group is who is going to be their Terrence Mann or Trent Forrest. And I don't mean necessarily filling up the stat sheet. You got to have the sandpaper. You got to have toughness. We were tougher in that COVID season than any team we played. Well, we're going to win the title? I don't know, but we were tough as nails. And last year we were soft as tissue paper.
Oh, maddeningly so. That was that's the first non-likable team we've had in a long, long time. Man, were we unlikable. Very, very frustrated. I just
hopefully they're pissed off all off season and that changes.
Well, they had a good off season too.
Yeah,
That's the other thing to note. All right, so if you missed the first hour, harkening back, it is a time to celebrate because ACC kickoff this week. We know SEC Media Days as well. All of this is the start of the buzz that creates the joy in our lives that is college football. And moreover, again, without major headlines, say nothing happens this week that is life-altering for FSU or for the ACC, you still know that basically a week from today, we are underway with the start of practice in such a pivotal season with so many position battles and depth chart battles, I should say. Even though there are plenty of guys that coming back are likely to start, there's a lot of fight for playing time. We know, again, the importance of the season. I can't wait for us to get over there to the practice facilities and really not only the opening press conference, because I am curious, Mike's demeanor, all that good stuff. He's handled it really well. I don't think he's going to change. If you're not going to waver after you lose at home to Jacksonville State, I'm not going to waver now. Pressure is pressure either way. Ira and I did the Sunday Smash last night. You can go back and watch on Warchant TV or go check it out on warchant.com. We were talking about how Mike will handle a game the magnitude of LSU. And Ira was pointing out, he coached some big games in Memphis, but he's yet to coach a game of this magnitude with all eyes on sets, nationally televised, monster of a game on the road in that setting. Like, it was at home last year against Notre Dame, right? So
right, and they hosted game day for the big game with Cincinnati years ago.
Yeah. Right. And they were everybody's darling at that point. So this is an important year. You got to show progress. You're up against a name brand, if you will, in New Orleans with everybody watching. Obviously, you can't go out there and stink up the joint and create any momentum doing that. So I don't think he'll change much. Somebody in the chat earlier asked about how we think the transition in play calling will go. I don't really worry. The process for how they set up situations, and that's really what the week of preparation is about when it comes to play calling. It differs per opponent. Now, obviously, you have your core tenets of what you want to do on offense and what you're doing on defense, and you don't waver too far from that. Coaches love to point out to fans that you're not going to stray too far away from what you do. When you hear coaches get asked the question, are you worried about so-and-so doing this, this, and this, or how do you prepare for this, this, and this when a new coach comes to a place? They always say, no, not really, because coaches got to where they are because they have a way that they go about their business. They have, like, Jimbo's offense is Jimbo's offense. He's not going to radically shift his offense. Now, he may stress certain aspects of that offense, more than others in a given year based on talent. That's true for all coaches, but you're not going to stray terribly far from what you do. So why do I bring that up? Well, I mean, when I think about what they're going to do and what we hope they're going to be capable of doing, that is the only area of real growth that I want to see coming into this season. Now, do they have the ability to expand the playbook? The playbook is the same no matter what. That's why I say I don't worry about the transition of Dillingham going to Oregon and Atkins and obviously Norvell interacting, because the playbook's the playbook, and they're going to go through the same process they went through before. Somebody might point out, well, I think Dillingham did a good job of being up in the booth, looking down on what was happening and informing play calls or calling a game that way. He's still going to have eyes. He's still going to have eyes in the booth. That doesn't change.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to have eyes up there that tell you some of the shifts, but what you do is what you do. I just hope it expands.
Yeah, I think there'll be more collaboration too, because Kenny always said that he and Mike were of one mind. So now there's going to be a new mind in the room when they're discussing and installing. It's also good that Atkins is brutally honest, and that's the way he coaches too, about what the offensive line is capable of. So when it's time to install for a given week, no matter what the other side looks like and where their strengths and weaknesses are in the line, linebackers, wherever, he knows, and he'll say, we can do this. We cannot get here and where we need to be to make these plays work. I really like how brutal he is consistently. Like you listen to some of the recruits that have just committed to Florida State, and Atkins will talk to them about what they're not doing right, what they need to clean up. It's not all pie in the sky and then they turn into a taskmaster when you arrive after you've signed your letter of intent. It's always about getting better and being brutally honest, because there were some game plans last year where I thought, we hope we were able to do this and that. I think it would be a little bit more realistic. Atkins as a first-time offensive coordinator with Mike is not going to get caught hoping that we can run something. We're only going to, I think, install what we can possibly do.
So I got the good fortune, I've always talked about this since it happened, of talking to Mike when I was the guest coach 2 years ago for spring. And the biggest benefit of that was him talking to all of us about the process of putting together game day and game planning and play calling. And he talked to us in great detail about how that works. And I thought it was infinitely fascinating. And I got to see all of the boards, the situations, everything that is up there. And there's a lot. But all of that is pre-planned. Nothing about that process is going to change. So when somebody says, I'm worried that one guy leaves, is it going to upset the apple cart? It's the same. They're still going to do the same things they've always done. He has, as I say, a philosophy, right? This is what I run. This is my offense. And everybody's offense is really just stealing facets of other people's offense. There's nothing new under the sun in football. But this is what I believe, right? And so you have that, right? That's your offense. Within that offense, certain aspects of it based on personnel and the competition dictate what you do situationally. None of that's going to change. As long as you're on the same page during the week as you put together the game plan and it's informed by insight like you just described.
Yeah, a louder voice in the room from the offensive line coach is not a bad thing.
Not at all, right? I think it probably improves things. It's so, yes, I agree. And there's a reason offensive line coaches frequently become head coaches. There's a reason for that. I think, by the way, our offensive line coach is on the path to being a head coach. So
very fast.
So this is all well and good. I don't think anything changes in a way that is negative. I think if anything, they're probably a little bit better off. I am curious about the relationship of who it is that's going to be up in the booth.
Probably Tokar.
I would think, right?
Yeah.
But
now, that's interesting. The quarterbacks like him, so you might need a good cop, bad cop there. Could be Thompson. I don't know.
I think you would want to.
Thompson has some high level experience, so
a lot of experience. Yeah. Listen, it's not as if that. I don't want to diminish the importance of that role, because how you express things and say things and what kind of a timely fashion you do so matters. But any experienced football coach can go up in the booth and know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
This is
guys, they're doing this to us.
Yeah,
Click,
that's all that is. This is what they're doing. Whether there's a shade or an over. Well, they pick up on that pretty quickly, and they have to know the kinds of things that if you're ground level that maybe you're not seeing, the subtle things that maybe you're not seeing. That's your only role up there, really.
There was a tweet. I think it came out today, but it's dated information. Chris Brown, Smart Football, retweeted it. It is a list of Alabama's keys about game planning and what assignments were to every specific coach, every little position coach and GAs and whatever. And it's a 2-page document with questions and expectations of what you're going to bring to the meeting for preparation. Really cool and insightful stuff. I'm sure it's done at every program. That's not novel to Nick Saban, that every coach has a responsibility about how to collaborate and make things work. But that's the kind of conversation that you're talking about. It goes on no matter what. It's just that Atkins' voice is louder in the room. And if you were going to handpick anybody on that offensive staff whose voice should be the loudest, not Mike, because he's the head coach, anybody else on the offensive side,
it ain't going to be Ron Dugans.
I think we want Atkins on 12.
Yeah.
I think that's the volume we'd like him.
Pretty easy. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Hi, I'm Alex Stimley, candidate for Leon County School Board, District 4. As a lifelong resident, I've attended our schools, I've worked in our schools, and my kids go to our schools. For me, this election is not about power, it's not about title, and it's not about politics. This is about our kids and the positive impact our schools can have on our community. Our schools are vulnerable, our parents are voiceless, and our educators are defenseless. Your kids, grandkids, your neighbor's kid, and my 2 kids. That's my why. I'm Alex Stimley, and I have paid for and approved this message. And I hope to have your vote for Leon County School Board, District 4.
Over 50 years ago, when Paul Nicholson founded Paul's Termite and Pest Control, he had one goal in mind: provide the best service possible to his neighbors so they felt like family. Your problem was his problem, so today it's our problem. Paul's service area is our home. It's where our kids go to school, where we shop, and where we get involved with community organizations. So if some out-of-town company knocks on your door and begins pressuring you to sign an agreement for termite or pest control, you can bet on a few things. Number 1, you'll never see that person again. Number 2, your technician is likely to change often. And number 3, your money will not stay in North Florida. These companies are sending your money to home offices in Atlanta, Orlando, Salt Lake City, or even Great Britain. Paul's Termite and Pest Control knows local means something to you. The health of your Tallahassee home, family, and pets is our number 1 priority. For the elimination of termites and pests and a greener lawn too, call your local company with local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
Hey, Nole fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit isf.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hi, my name is Shannon Pash, and I'm the principal at Red Hills Academy. We will provide a challenging, rigorous curriculum. We will also work with our students to teach them how to set goals and then how to work to reach those goals. Red Hills Academy will offer the Spanish language every day. Relationships are really important to us, not just with our students, but with our families and the community. This benefits parents and students alike because parents get that involvement within the school. Easily apply online today at redhillsacademy.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-789-0374 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-789-0374. That's 800-789-0374. What do you have to lose? Call 800-789-0374. Again, 800-789-0374.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
To take a look at a team and what they are not. Just one of many measurement sticks to use as you get a sense of transfer portal stuff more from these sites now than you did in the past, which is important because that's changed everything about how quickly a team can turn things around. But I was reading an article that he wrote about taking the over on FSU's 6.5 total. And of course, that feeds right into our ongoing conversation of the offseason about what's possible But, man, there's a couple of things that really stand out. And you and I were talking about this in the first hour, and I brought it up. Looking at this stat would have further emboldened me to state more emphatically the problems we had in the red zone. It's interesting. So the offense, quote, I'm reading from the piece now, will have plenty of room to improve. This is a unit that finished 89th in offensive success rate, 96th in offensive finishing drives, and 114th in havoc rate allowed. Points out that havoc sticks out the most because FSU gave up 351 yards on tackles for a loss, which was the 12th worst mark in the entire country. Whew.
That feels right.
Golly. But again, that going back to the finishing drives, they were 96th in offensive finishing drives. They unfinished drives, man. They really, because those drives were arduous. Those drives took a long time. You had to put together a series of successful plays that was well beyond the norm.
Yeah, just think about it in very, very simple terms. If you give up 350 yards of negative plays, tackles for loss yardage, that's over 3 touchdowns worth. And how valuable would 3 more touchdowns have been if you spread it around the right places in that schedule and what the win-loss record would have been?
Yeah.
And that's not even to talk about hidden yardage in the special teams game. So you're talking about, what do you think, between 500 and 600 yards of negative yardage on tackles for loss and special teams hidden yardage battles that we just simply did not win. Ever.
Well, it's just the sheer number. When we talk about whether it's offensive or defensive, whenever we're talking about success rates and things like that, people might say, well, what are you talking about? But those are all measures of efficiency. That's all those are. Those are measures of efficiency. And there's a metric. There's a way to look at it. You could talk about 50% of the yards needed to gain a first down. How that's the first thing you look at. Then 70% of the you can go on down this list of measurements, but it just shows you how inefficient we were offensively in multiple categories. And it's frustrating because now that is an area that I think they will be much better at.
Well, and that's the amazing thing is if you look at the metrics and even services like PFF that tell you about trench play, and yet they were able to devise up enough explosive runs that our yards per carry for the year was 4.8. I mean, think that's a decent number, 4.8 yards per carry. And a video that we're going to be doing today on Warchant TV is about looking at some of these key numbers and where do you think they're going to be next year? Well, I mean, if they're 4.8 with a group that can't block for the run typically, and you don't really have a home run hitter. Corbin ended up hitting home runs, but he's not the same thing as watching Chris Thompson.
No, your home run hitter is Jordan Travis, making somebody missing a phone booth and running for 40 yards. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And that obviously is going to help add to the numbers.
That adds a lot to your yards per carry.
But his sack yardage comes off the total in college, which is dumb, but it does. So it's 4.8 even with all the sacks that we took. It's got to go up with a better offensive line and a guy like Trey Benson now in the rotation.
So I'll give you this too, by the way, as to why he's taking the over on the total. And this I'll read directly from his piece just because I don't want anybody to think I'm stealing this. This is good stuff. While the offense was abysmal and scrambling for answers for most of the year, it was the defense that willed the Noles to a strong finish. They boasted impressive season-ending ranks, including 34th in defensive success rate, 19th in defensive finishing drives, and 29th in havoc rate. Now, Jermaine Johnson went a long way.
It's his middle name.
Yeah. Better yet, a majority of this elite unit does return with an outstanding 95% in defensive tarp.
Wait a minute. Did he say the word elite?
Yeah. The majority of this elite unit returns.
What?
Yeah, he's talking about the second half of the season. They were pretty elite in the second half of the season.
Dr. Phil thing.
I know. Yeah.
Elite.
The secondary highlights the defensive side of the ball of familiar faces returning Kevin Noles, Amarian Cooper, Jamie Robinson, and, a solidified back end. FSU brought in more pressure that resulted in 33 sacks and 130 sack yards. Now, again, Jermaine Johnson's off to the NFL. We know that. But you do bring in Jared Verse, who finished last year with 14.5 sacks. You figure if you project him to, say, 9 this year, and do you get Briggs will obviously bring something to the table.
Yeah,
I think
that's critical.
Yeah, I agree. But then he mentions that Tatum Bethune is a huge difference maker. And if you just take what he did at UCF and you talk about finishing tackles, 108, that's doing some things. So, yeah, man, you have a continuity of positions. You bring in some better players who have been proven. You do have a chance. You do have a chance to better yourself and start the season in a way that they haven't seen in a long time. I mean, again, we can point to these numbers on the back end of the second half of the season that got us all excited, and rightfully so. But you got to start the season like that. I mean, we were so, it was almost unwatchable for a stretch there. So if you start the year that way, then it certainly looks like there are opportunities enough to win 7 games. That's why he's taking the over. There's opportunities enough to win 7 games. It's a combined 8-13 the last 2 seasons. So that would be a huge leg up. Ira Shafel joins us as he's wont to do on a Monday. Good to talk to Ira again. We had a chance last night, or another reminder on the Sunday Smash. If you missed it, go back and watch that. Warchant TV and on warchant.com. Hello, Ira.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited about what today represents, which is basically, we're pretty much a week away from the start of football. Because once practice starts, that's a daily deal. Plus, you guys are headed off to the ACC kickoff, and I'm excited to get a report from you and what's going on, what we find out from the Charlotte goings on, but also what might Norvell and crew have to say. What are you looking forward to the most for this trek to Charlotte?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see, how the media interest in Florida State is. The last few years, you go back 10 years ago, it was Florida State was the belle of the ball every year. And going back to when Coach Bowden was the head coach, even when Florida State wasn't good, he still drew the most attention. The last couple of years, Florida State's just kind of been, and Florida State's here too.
Mm-hmm.
And there just hasn't been that much interest. I'm kind of curious if maybe there's some renewed interest in maybe Jordan Travis after what he did the last couple of months of last season. And just the program overall, or if it's still seen as an afterthought. I think NC State is going to get a lot of the buzz this week. I think I wouldn't shock me if they got picked to win the Atlantic or at least close the gap on Clemson. So I think a lot of the attention is going to be on Clemson and NC State, and also Wake Forest, obviously, because of their season last year. But I'm curious to see if Florida State just kind of generates some more interest, because the last couple of years it's been a little sparse at the Florida State guys' table.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either, by the way, if NC State was selected, because think about it, a year ago they did beat Clemson, and you have what you need to get selected to win a division. You have a veteran presence, you have a veteran quarterback who's very good, you have a pretty dominant defensive line, so you have all those things. I still think Clemson's projected to win more games if we look at those numbers, but maybe by 1. So I could see that. What I'm more interested in, Ira, is Florida State thought to be, and you just alluded to it, above Louisville? Are they considered to be a better team than Wake Forest? Obviously, we think they're a better team than Boston College and Syracuse. But if they are seen in a better light, how much better of a light is that? Is it above, say Louisville and Wake? Because then you're third in the Atlantic, and that would be a huge step up from where Florida State's been.
I know, and it's kind of crazy to say that, because even in years when, Florida State was down, like in the late 2000s, and it seemed like the media would still pick Florida State to win the division. And that's probably how it'll be for Clemson. If Clemson takes a step back this year and continues to step backwards, now they've lost all those coordinators and the great run of quarterbacks, it's possible that they kind of slide back, and that lag will probably exist for several years where they still get picked at the top of the conference. But, I think that, I saw David Teal, our friend up who covers Virginia and Virginia Tech, longtime ACC sports writer, and I think he had Florida State third or fourth, and he might have had him fourth behind Wake, and and I was kind of like, come on, David. But the reality is, Wake Forest is coming off a 10-win season. They do have their quarterback back, and I think that was one other. We always laugh at the preseason award watch list, and the one for the Maxwell came out today. And there's 85 people on it, so there's obviously they're cast a wide net to get interest in those awards. But there's 10 guys FSU is going to face on that Maxwell Award list, and a lot of them are quarterbacks. And you just talked about NC State, and Devin Leary's numbers for last year are insane. And so it's going to be a challenge to beat some of these teams in the Atlantic just with the quarterbacks they have.
Malik Cunningham comes to mind when we talk about that. Everybody rightfully turns their attention to Dave Doran's group at NC State because of how veteran they are. You mentioned Sam Hartman at Wake Forest, and Devin Leary is so good at NC State. But, man, we haven't really been able to solve Malik Cunningham. And, that's a game that if Florida State's going to be the team that finishes third in the ACC Atlantic, they got to win that game. They got to go win that game. They got to solve that riddle.
But who has? I mean, really, if you look at it, I mean, consistently. Now, they've lost some games, but it's not usually because people really shut him down very often. I mean, I think he had almost 3,000 yards passing and 1,000-yard rushing. And he's not necessarily a guy you're going to project as a high NFL draft pick as a quarterback, but he can play, and he's played so much. I mean, he's basically started I think he started some when he was a freshman, and now he's a senior. So he's played a ton of games, and you're going to be playing them at home. I really wish, last year was probably the year Florida State really needed to get Louisville because they had them at home. This year they're going up there, and and again, the one nice thing about that game is, one thing that could tilt it in Florida State's favor, if they can deal with Malik Cunningham, is the fact that, Florida State will be coming off of that bye week. Louisville would have played the week before at UCF, and it's a Friday night. You just kind of wish that game was here. If it was here, I think I'd like Florida State to win that game pretty comfortably. Up there with that quarterback, it might be tough.
The only thing I'm hoping for is they were not, they weren't very good on defense last year, meaning Louisville. And so can you win a shootout? I know that Louisville's defense is relying heavily. Now we do too oftentimes, but Louisville's defense is relying heavily on transfers. They figured out, Satterfield figured out, well, it's my ass. I've got to have a good season here. He went out and got, I think it's 7 players, 6 of whom are expected to play significant snaps on that defense. If they're not much better defensively, then maybe if this offense is that much better, you could win a shootout or something along those lines. See, but it's good. We're talking about actual games and players and teams and practice, buddy. Safe travels, brother. Good talking to you.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah, man. When we do this, when we play this game, I know we got to go to break. Jerkovic at Boston College, projected NFL quarterback. Okay. Malik Cunningham's not a projected NFL quarterback, but man, he's a really good college football player. And it's annoying. Ira alluded to Sam Hartman, who threw for over 4,000 yards and 39 touchdowns a year ago. I mean, sweet Jesus. When you consider how difficult it's been for us to find any consistency at the position, it makes you mad. I mentioned Devin Leary, who threw for over 3,500 yards a year ago, and then is also, he's a good runner. The stat that popped off the page last year for Devin Leary was he threw over 35 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. These are different kind of numbers that we're talking about.
Unfortunately, this is an ACC quarterback-wise that looks something like back in 2014 when the conference was okay playing outside and against other opponents.
But remember that year, the defenses were so good.
They were, but there was a lot of versatility in the offenses. Obviously, Georgia Tech helped carry the water too with a New Year's 6 win. But this is it's a loaded conference this year, and none of these guys wanted to go test their wares in a weak quarterback draft. Great, to our benefit.
Well, and what if DJ is so much better than he was a year ago? He completed 56% of his passes, which is awful in college football. They were over 100 and something in success rate offensively.
Have they solved their offensive line issues, and will he see ghosts?
Well, I hope not. They've got a stud behind him they may go to right off the bat. They do have Will Shipley back. He'll run the football. He certainly ran against us despite their offensive line. So, I would pick Clemson over us. So I think we keep going back to that Louisville game.
Yeah, you got to surprise somebody. You have to surprise. It might be our own selves. I'm like, oh, I'm surprised.
Look at us, everybody.
Yeah.
Look at us.
But you've got to do it at least once this year. At least once.
Some roofing companies say they're the best in town with the best price around, and safety is their top priority, but they don't always have your best interest at heart. T-Spark Enterprises Roofing and Construction, they believe in doing things the right way and a safe way. Employees undergo regular safety training, constantly being educated on new techniques, new materials, like becoming, this is my favorite one, master metal applicators, Tom. That's what they are. Have you considered a new metal roof? Perhaps you have, long-lasting and durable. You're in luck. T-Spark Enterprises Roofing and Construction are the best in town, period. Give them a call today, 766-1340. Get a free quote today at tsparkconstruction.com.
Your local news now.
A Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigation into discrepancies with tax deed sales uncovered a multi-year fraud scheme in Columbia County. FDLE agents arrested Katrina M. Bircher, 60 years old, of Lake City, on 1 felony count of scheme to defraud and 3 felony counts of official misconduct. She previously worked for the Columbia County Clerk of Courts as a record supervisor. The investigation began in June of 2021 when the Clerk of Courts noticed discrepancies in tax deed sales. Agents audited the sales and discovered 46 transactions where Bircher either altered records by writing a reduced sale price or reducing fees. Bircher's personal bank records show she pocketed the difference between the amount of money collected and the altered records. They also found multiple instances where Bircher physically altered deeds to disguise the fraud. In total, investigators say Bircher stole about $27,600 from Columbia County. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly cloudy this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Highs level off around 88. Winds out of the southwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Chance for scattered storms. Lows level off around 75. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Tomorrow, chance for scattered storms. Highs level off around 91. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 82.
If you're a business owner of any kind, you need advanced fire protection services. We are AFPS, and we provide high-quality life safety services throughout Northwest Florida, and we've been doing it since 1989, with offices now in Tallahassee. Fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, hood suppression systems, and emergency exit lights. For all of your life safety equipment, we've got you covered 24/7. We are Advanced Fire Protection Services. For a free life safety system evaluation, visit WeSaveLives.com. That's WeSaveLives.com.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
We need to have history. We need to have literature. It deserves an explanation. We don't need to be promoting lifestyles that come into play for your average elementary school.
Well, I had an experience with this. When my daughter was in school, her teacher gave her a book to read, but then she asked me what the C word is.
That was in the book.
That was in the book.
Okay, so talking about the C word, so you're talking about conservatives, right?
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Certainly taking care of business in games where it's a 50-50 and you're at home. You're going to have to do that. But you know what? Thank God Justin Ross is gone. I forgot about that dude. Damn it, man. I was just going back through during the break and looking at numbers everywhere, and I was like, God, I forgot how good that guy is.
He had problems, though, last year, didn't he? He was the one with the dropsies, and then there was chatter. There's just kind of some noise under the surface. I hope we hear about things like that with Clemson again. Make it 2 years in a row that it seems like not everybody's on the same page.
Well, I'm just tired of seeing 6'4", 210-pound guys that can run like the wind blows being available.
Yeah.
They're not on our team.
But you can have them and still lose games you shouldn't. We've gone through that before. And not
I'd like to have them.
Past.
I'd like to see what happens if we have them again.
I would too.
That would be nice. Guys that you go, well, that's freakishly athletic. That's a wonderful play there.
Do you think Clemson rights the ship, or is there still more noise in the system and a gutted staff leads to losses that shouldn't happen?
Well, okay. So that the gutted staff part of it is huge. This all gets back to Dabo Swinney deciding to promote from within. You know, he's a big culture guy. He's talked about it. And when you go back and you look at these numbers, again, these are numbers that I pulled up for our discussion. They happen to be right in front of me, sadly. But they won 10 games for 11 straight years. That's a run. So why do I bring that up? Well, that's why he's proud of the culture that he's built. He's saying this is what we are. We are wildly consistent. This is 2015, 2020, they had 6 straight ACC titles and college football playoff appearances to go along with the 2 national titles. So that is a toughie. But from there, we get into losing staff members and beginning to hear some noise in the system like you're talking about. So, Wes Goodwin is now replacing Brent Venables. Does he hit the ground running because he was his right-hand man? Maybe. I don't know. Let's hope there's a drop-off.
They get quite the ramp up this season, too. I just looked at the layout of their schedule. I don't know if you would crunch their numbers for Sportsbook or not, but their beginning of their season is Georgia Tech on that Monday, which we know.
Ass beaten that they're going to deliver in that one.
Short week. They play that Saturday, but it's Furman. And then it's Louisiana Tech. So their first game of interest is not until the 24th of the month, and they're at Wake Forest, followed by a game at home against NC State. So that
back-to-back good games.
That 2-week sequence is tough, but they have a month to lead up to it. That's followed by a trip at Boston College after Wake and NC State, so that's a get-right week. And then they play us on the road. Then it's Syracuse, a bye, and if you're doing win totals again, a tough sequence to start after the bye. It's at Notre Dame, then they host Louisville, and they host Miami. Another interesting 3-week run. So if they get to 10 games this year, that would be an accomplishment given all the problems that were there last year and a new staff.
They have enough talent that if they're right and they're all pulling in the same direction and they get any kind of better play from their quarterback, then they're going to do that again, man. It hasn't. Those drop-offs take some time. You need that roster to get gutted over time. You need the failures to add up so that the recruiting dies down to a point where all of a sudden now you see real holes. Last year coming into the season, remember, I talked about how gettable they were, not because I thought their quarterback would play poorly, but I told you before the year started, their offensive line was a disaster. And it turned out to be a real problem for them all year long. In addition to the fact the quarterback lost confidence behind that offensive line and didn't play anything like what they thought he would based on his performance against Notre Dame. So on the road at that. So I don't know. Maybe he does get right because their offensive line's better. It couldn't be worse than it was last year for them. They had real problems there. So I can't answer that until we see them. I do know that the roster is loaded. So I worry less about Clemson. I put them over here as a team that we've got to aspire to get back to that level. But I worry about the rest of the ACC is gettable, and that division in particular. Yes, it would be surprising to go win on the road against NC State this year. I think it's a good NC State team. Probably the best team Dave Doran's ever going to have is this year. But, Louisville's gettable. Wake is gettable here. All those games. So that's what I continue to hyper-focus on more than anything else. By the way, again, I brought up the touchdown-to-interception ratio at NC State. Sam Hartman, 39 touchdowns last year, 12th in total QBR, 4,228 yards passing. It's a good thing their defense stinks.
Yeah. It's a good thing that game's here too.
Well,
at some point, with Wake Forest, at some point.
I bitched about it last week. I'm so tired of the ridiculousness and special teams and absurdities. And you can't account when you go into a game for officiating to be a travesty. But that first half of that game.
Well, we're still in this conference for now, buddy. So buckle up.
The week we play Wake, I would sit down with the home office. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at every one of these calls in the first half that buried us, that gave us zero chance. Now, we didn't help ourselves because we kept rolling McKenzie Milton out there. But
stop snickering on the other line. Come on now.
Let's look at this roughing the punter nonsense you called here. This hit out of bounds that didn't happen.
It's a damn shame, Mike.
Mm-hmm. If it were that, you would get in a car and drive up there. You would do.
I'd record the phone call.
You're like, are you kidding me with this? Let's do some probables, shall we? Let's get to. No, you want to?
Who's throwing?
Oh, that's right.
Do you have the?
Oh my!
Do you have the guys who are throwing to the home run derby contestants?
You know how quickly that snuck up on me. In lieu of probables, and I'll go back over there.
I'm going to search for the names of those guys. I'll send them to you if I can find them. Who's throwing to the...
Before you do that, I want you to hear this.
Okay.
Because it involves a subject that makes me laugh. This is Sergio Garcia. Did you? Okay.
I saw the headline.
Dude, this is a grown-up. Can you imagine sitting at a press conference and saying this? He has intended to now pull out of the DP World Tour. We know he already did this with the PGA in order to go to LIV. He resigned his PGA membership to play in the LIV Series. He will now be ineligible for future Ryder Cups if he quits the DP World Tour, which it looks like he's doing. I'm quite clear about what I'm going to do with the European circuit. I'm likely to leave it, he told reporters on Sunday. I want to play where I feel loved. Right now in the European Tour, I am not feeling loved. I'm very happy with what I've achieved. I'm going to try to enjoy it. I'm going to play less. I'll spend more time at home. If I can't play in any more majors, that's the way it's got to be. It's not something that bothers me. I'm feeling sad because of the Ryder Cup. Right now, the way I'm playing, I wouldn't be selected anyhow. He goes on to talk about...
there's an honest
statement. That part is honest. Then he goes on to say, Thomas Bjorn, by the way, his former Ryder Cup captain, who has been an outspoken critic of LIV, said, when Thomas Bjorn, former Ryder Cup captain, came to the BMW Championship and told all of us, we don't love any of you, and all of the players say so, I already haven't aged and had enough suffering to be enduring nonsense like that. That's not pretty. I have given more than half my life to the European Tour, and I wanted to continue playing there, but I'm not going to go where they don't want me. What a petulant child. How good is that?
That's so bad.
It's just
all
pathetic.
of that. That's like, it's not real. That reads like The Onion.
It does. He goes on to say, it's very sad to receive the treatment that I have because of a personal decision that I made. I like that Thomas Bjorn walked in and was like, all you guys, get the hell up out of here. We don't love you. That's it. That's all. I'm washing my hands of you. All right. Who's throwing to these guys?
We do have a break we can use. I'm only through 2. Nobody has it consolidated, so I'm reading a story fast on ESPN to pick these names.
Well, you don't have to do that. We're not really overly concerned about who's going to be throwing batting practice at the
It's
home
going to make the difference. It's the winning edge.
I'm not as worried about it. I do know the baseball All-Star game, which is Tuesday, 8:00, for those that don't know, is the only All-Star game that I care about. And I care about it less than I used to as a kid when they played really hard and hated each other. That was fun in my youth watching those games play out because they actually made managerial decisions based around winning. And it was kind of like, look, we want to win the game.
Didn't they finally wear uniforms? Didn't they wear All-Star game uniforms last year instead of their own?
You would think I'd know that, but
I think they did, which I was devastated to see.
Don't do that.
Yeah, the best part about it is you see the home and away uniforms for whatever ballpark it's in of every club, and they're all together because baseball uniforms outside of the D-backs are all awesome.
Yeah, outside of the D-backs is right, because that's a terrible uniform.
And they've tried 3 different ways.
I don't know how you can screw it up that many times. Yeah, you go through them all. They're all pretty good. Yankees uniforms, much I hate the Yankees, good uniforms. Tigers, all-time great uniforms. Oh, yeah. A's uniforms are great. Pirates, Mets, Dodgers, Giants, all great. Rangers, good. I keep going.
Rangers is good.
Good. It's not great.
Apt.
Rays uniforms are great. Red Sox uniforms are great.
Man, they got rid of the forest green, though. That was unfortunate.
But they actually pulled off an incredible run. It's rare it ever happens. They got rid of something that was beloved, and the new thing doesn't suck. It's great.
And now they've infused. They wear the old Devil Rays uniforms every once in a while, and they wear the Ray hat.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, Kansas City Royals uniforms, great. White Sox uniforms, awesome.
But I was
know whose uniforms suck?
Now Milwaukee. Those are awesome.
Angels.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry ass uniforms. Get it together.
Speaks to their owner.
Mm-hmm. Rockies uniforms kind of suck too.
They're okay.
They're just average ass.
The home
uniforms.
pinstripes are all right.
They're okay. Okay is right. Okay.
So I saw a hat, a Rays hat. If you were more of a Rays enthusiast, I would have just gotten it for you in Manhattan at the new Era store, the baseball MLB store. And it is a Tampa Bay Rays TB with the Ray logo in Rowdy's colors.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And on the side, it has a patch of Tropicana Field.
Should have got it. I would have.
You would have worn that?
Oh, yeah.
It's a flat bill 59.50.
Oh, well, no.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. but I would have done that. The design,
But
is
it would have
great.
been cool for a display item too. And they weren't selling those at all. There were like 80 of those.
Yeah, the nostalgia of the old, Florida Power Park, and before that Al Lang. But Al Lang is it's near and dear to my heart, always has been. And I wish that they would have been able to come to some sort of an agreement to play there. But alas, it is the Rowdies.
Aren't they doubling down on Pinellas County again, St. Pete?
That thing is
As the
still a
world
mess.
turns?
The argument still continues. I don't know how that's going to go. But I will. Are you going to watch the home run derby tonight?
Yeah, that's.
I know you're going
Jamie's
to watch.
enthusiasm for the home run derby is one of the most adorable things. So I really enjoy
You
watching.
put it on
with her.
mute.
It's Ravage now, right? So you got a fair chance.
We've been saved. All those years, the shattered heart that I possessed on the night of the home run derby, knowing that I was going to have to hear Berman's ridiculousness.
They also
now
have.
gone.
They used to. I don't know if they will continue it this year, but they had a second broadcast too with Statcast, where it shows you velocities.
That's a
and all that
more
kind of
interesting
stuff.
broadcast.
Yeah. So I'll have one of those two on.
I would endeavor in my life, if I had to do it over again, to be in a position that Juan Soto was in over the weekend, which is to negotiate a deal for $443 million and turn it down so that I could be traded.
Would you trade for him if you're the Mets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Money's no object for you guys.
Yeah, I know.
He's legitimately badass.
You got to have a strong culture with that guy, though. He seems to be he could be a problem child.
He's a really good player.
I know.
It doesn't matter.
He pushes the envelope
yeah.
with his talent to the point where I'm like, I think I'll take that cancer.
You would take him. Of course you'd take him. Throw him in that lineup. You guys were already really good. Yeah, I'd do it. Or I'd give all the talent you have in the minor leagues to the Pirates for David Bednar.
Right, yeah. Why not both?
Yeah, you should do both. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Thanks, everybody. Be well. Tomorrow, some of the headlines. It is on the air. It is fresh content. We'll talk to you soon. Be good.